Good evening, I'm Fana Sheikh and you're watching AWANI Tonight. Former Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin has been summoned to give a statement at the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission's MACC headquarters tomorrow. It is understood that the Bersatu President has been summoned over the Jana Wibawa scandal. Bersatu Party members have also been asked to gather at the MACC headquarters at 11 a.m. on Thursday, while a political bureau meeting is expected to be held later tonight. The Jana Wibawa scheme was introduced by Muhyiddin's administration to assist Bumiputra contractors. Muhyiddin previously maintained that he was not a suspect. Last month, the Bersatu Information Chief Datuk Wan Saiful Wanjan was charged for attempting to solicit almost 7 million ringgit in bribes in relation to the project. Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim clarified today that the government will not introduce capital gains tax on listed shares as well as on unlisted shares for an approved IPO. The Prime Minister said that he is aware of the uneasiness among the business community over the capital gains tax proposal introduced during Budget 2023 and assured that the government would not implement it hastily.
I understand there are parties who are concerned with respect to the government's announcement to study capital gains tax on unlisted shares at a low rate. I would like to give you the government's commitment. First, the tax will only be finalized upon extensive engagement with stakeholders. Second, the tax will not be introduced on listed shares. Third, the disposal of unlisted shares for an approval initial public offering will also not be subject to capital gains tax.
The plan to tax unlisted shares under Budget 2023 has prompted some criticism that it would allegedly make Malaysia less appealing to investors. Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, was speaking at the Invest Malaysia conference in Kuala Lumpur. There, he announced that Bursa Malaysia would be working with the London Stock Exchange Group next month to roll out a centralised sustainability reporting platform that will allow companies to calculate their carbon emissions impact. The government is open to proposals of reviving the Kuala Lumpur-Singapore high-speed rail HSR project, but only if it is funded by the private sector. Transport Minister Anthony Loh says Putrajaya is accepting new mechanisms of funding and implementation of the project.
Loh, however, said the government has yet to receive any complete proposals pushing for the project to continue. Malaysia and Singapore signed bilateral agreements for the 350-kilometre project in late 2016, which would have reduced travel time between the island nation and Kuala Lumpur to 90 minutes. It was then put on hold in September 2018, with both sides agreeing to shelve the project worth 110 billion ringgit until December 31st, 2020. Following this, on January 1st, 2021, Malaysia and Singapore jointly announced the termination of the HSR project as no agreement had been reached on the proposed changes by Malaysia. The cancellation led to Putrajaya paying Singapore 320 million ringgit in compensation.
The government will amend 3 acts to better protect children from becoming victims of sexual crime and guarantee justice to victims. Law and Institutional Reform Minister Datuk Sri Azalina Ottoman Said informed that the amendment will be done in 2 phases.
Bagi fasa pertama, terdapat 3 cadaan pindaan yang dibuat kepada Akta Kesalahan Seksual Kanak-kanak dan 3 cadangan pindaan juga akan dibuat kepada Akta Keterangan Saksi Kanak-kanak. Manakala fasa kedua akan dilaksanakan pada sidang parlimen yang akan datang selepas sesi libat urus selanjutnya dengan pihak-pihak yang berkepentingan. Antara cadangan pindaan yang dibuat adalah memperkenalkan langkah tambahan mesra kanak-kanak untuk melindungi mangsa kanak-kanak, mewujudkan kesalahan-kesalahan baru dan memperuntukkan pampasan kepada mangsa kanak-kanak.
Azalina noted that among the reasons contributing to the increase in cases of sexual crimes among children include the delay in the handling and conviction of cases. Based on police statistics, a total of 5,350 victims of child sexual crimes have been reported from April 2017 until 2022. Kuala Lumpur has recorded the highest number of people suffering from depression and anxiety in Malaysia, says Health Minister Dr. Zalia Mustafa. Citing a 2022 government study where 336,900 individuals were screened, she says the most vulnerable were the B40 group and urban poor.
Sebab-sebabnya ialah seperti yang kita ketahuilah, wilayah ni kos sara hidupnya agak tinggi, ya. Kemudian golongan B40 juga ramai di wilayah, dan kita ramai menemui miskin bandar di wilayah, dan masalah perhubungan. Masalah perhubungan ni contohnya tekanan daripada ibu bapa yang mahu anaknya mungkin jadi menteri, ya. Jadi stres anak-anak, kesian, ya. Perhubungan dengan rakan sebaya, dan juga perhubungan mungkin dengan teman, ya.
Zaleha added that the Health Ministry was taking steps to address mental health issues in the community, especially among youths. She said many issues can be attributed to financial problems, bullying, substance abuse and low self-esteem.
The Health Ministry is also in the midst of developing a National Dementia Action Plan and other mental health components under the Elderly Health Services Action Plan from 2023 to 2030. Health Minister Dr. Zalia Mustafa says this is to increase the quality of mental health support for the elderly.
Sesi latihan diberikan juga kepada penjaga warga emas yang mempunyai masalah kemurungan, demensia, Alzheimer, dan juga turut dijalankan dengan kerjasama badan-badan yang bukan kerajaan NGO. Bagi memperkukuhkan aspek penjagaan kesihatan mental khususnya kepada ahli keluarga dan penjaga, iaitu caregiver golongan warga emas.
We will go for a quick break. Stay with us.
Cuaca panas menyebabkan kelumomo, minyak dan kegatalan? Clearman 100% untuk para lelaki. Teknologi anti kelumomo 3 kali ganda. Tiada kelumomo, minyak atau kegatalan. Dingin pada kulit kepala. Clearman terbukti menewaskan kelumomo.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim pledged that more women empowerment and protection initiatives will be coming in the near future. For a start, Putrajaya will commit 6 million ringgit for the purpose. 5 million ringgit will go to the Women, Family and Community Development Ministry, while 1 million ringgit was allocated to the Tabung Kasih Rahmah Wanita for domestic violence and abandonment victims. Among other initiatives include new guidelines for the implementation of the Anti-Sexual Harassment Advocacy Program, which will see the posting of an anti-sexual harassment notices in the premises of every organisation across the country.
Masih ada apa yang disebut gangguan seksual. Masih ada bukan diskriminasi tetapi kurang pengiktirafan, sehingga kan sebagai wanita mengeluh kerana kepintaran mereka, kecekalan mereka, kegigihan bekerja itu tidak diiktiraf sama dengan lelaki.
Speaking at the 2023 International Women's Day celebration in Kuala Lumpur, Anwar wants GLCs and GLICs to give women who are qualified the priority not only in terms of new appointments but also promotions. To empower women further, Anwar said the Employers Provident Fund (EPF) will also introduce the I Sayang initiative that will allow a husband to give his wife 2% of his EPF savings. Women make up half of the country's population, but gender gaps still persist, especially in the labour market. Lillian Kopp from the All Women's Action Society discusses how the government has fared in terms of achieving gender equality.
So for 100 days, it's a bit too soon to expect significant changes after years of corruption and mismanagement. So one thing that is very outstanding about this unity government is that it has 23.6% of women representation under Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim, which is very close to the ideal 30%. Therefore, we would expect more proactive initiatives by the state for the interest and empowerment of Malaysian women as recommended by CEDAW.
Moving forward, Lilian said Putrajaya must focus on facilitating women's successful return to work and healthcare initiatives.
We hope that the government will be able to provide a more holistic approach in regards to encouraging women with families back into the workforce. For example, we need to focus more on women in the informal workforce who are mainly from the B40 communities. And we need to look into how they can upskill and formalize cottage industry to make these women entrepreneurs more compatible in the larger and the wider market. So apart from that, we also look forward to see more initiative for women in healthcare. We want to encourage women and men to discuss and manage women's health by providing more awareness and facilities in areas such as breast cancer, cervical cancer, as well as menstruation. So access to healthcare needs of women in East Malaysia as well needs to have a look into. So the Health Minister, Dr. Zaliha, has said that her ministry will look into ways to upgrade the 2023 budget to include period poverty concerns. She has mentioned about providing free menstrual products in her office to kickstart this point. However, there is much more to it in period poverty. There is also infrastructure, there's also education. So we hope that the state will play a more proactive role in providing the facilities and amenities so that women can manage their menstruation with dignity. And also, finally, we would like for the state to be able to look into more affordable and quality childcare services, or to formalize home-based childcare services so that it will be accessible and safe for working mothers to send their children to.
On to the international front, the White House has endorsed a bipartisan Senate bill that would give federal authorities the power to ban TikTok and other technology companies if they pose national security threats. Among others, the bill would give the president the ability to force the sale of foreign-owned technologies, applications, software, or e-commerce platforms.
While the bill did not mention TikTok, owned by Chinese internet giant ByteDance, the video sharing app, which has about 100 million users in the US, is the clear target. The bill would also apply to foreign technologies from China, Russia, North Korea, Iran, Venezuela, and Cuba. TikTok criticized the measure, saying in a statement that any US ban on TikTok is a ban on the export of American culture and values to the billion-plus people who use its service worldwide. TikTok has come under increasing fire over fears that user data could end up in the hands of the Chinese government, undermining Western security interests.
Thousands of protesters took the street of Tbilisi after Georgia's parliament backed a controversial draft law that would require some organizations receiving foreign funding to register as foreign agents. Critics say the law limits press freedom and suppresses civil society.
Riot police used water cannon and pepper spray to disperse the crowds who clashed with police outside the parliament building. Some were holding not just the Georgian flag, but also European Union flags. While the controversial bill must pass further readings in parliament to become law, so far it appears to have broad support among Georgian lawmakers. There has been widespread international criticism of the bill, which would require NGOs and independent media who receive more than 20% of their funding from abroad to declare themselves as foreign agents. The opposition described it as a Russian-style law that would stigmatize and clamp down on Georgia's vibrant civil society and independent media.
That is all we have for you on AWANI Tonight. I'm Fana Sheh. Thank you for watching.
If it is business strategies and leadership insights that you want, catch me, Cynthia Ng, as I talk to experts from the industry every Saturday at 10:30.